first guest of the day is not only an ESPN analyst. He played 15 years in the show. He's a Harvard grad. He's the executive director of Smashfest and the Katie Moore Foundation, and makes me feel remarkably lazy every time he's on. His friend of the show, Dominic Moore. What's going on, Dom? How are you, man?
What's going on, Tim? Thanks for having me, as always.
A few things on the LinkedIn page, my friend. A few things on the LinkedIn page.
You know, I only after I retired did I actually feel like I needed to introduce myself to LinkedIn. Had no idea what the heck that was all about before that.
Yeah, I introduced myself there, and then I took myself off it really quickly. Listen, I want to hit up the return of the charity event of the summer in Toronto, Smashfest, and we will. But I got to start with some signing season insanity. And last night I left after 4 hours on the air, and Johnny Gaudreau hadn't signed. I get a text on the way home. It was Columbus, and I thought, holy crap, like this has got to be 12 schmil. Are you surprised, as me, or as you as surprised as some of the folks in Calgary are, that this was the final deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's scratching their heads. I think Kipper alluded to kind of some of the potential behind the scenes, dealings that were going on. You have to think that potentially there was another scenario in place kind of leading up to free agency, and then all of a sudden everything changed. That's the only explanation that a lot of us seem to gather, because I don't think anyone thought it would play out the way it did. Obviously, Calgary made such a huge push. I had been hearing that, like a lot of people, that Philly was the eventual destination. I think a lot of people assumed that would be the case. And then lo and behold, it's Columbus, which didn't make sense to a lot of people. So my sense is, as Kipper said, something changed towards the end. And I think it's left a lot of people head scratching, particularly in Calgary.
Okay, so it's dangerous for me to start head scratching because I end up with cuts. But so let me do this with you, and it's just an exercise here. I'm sure folks at Harvard do this all the time, where they put out theories and they're either proven or disproven. But let me throw Evander Kane tests free agency, he ends up back in Edmonton. If Getty Malkin seemed like an emotional announcement that he was going to test free agency, he ends up back in Pittsburgh. Is there something to this flat cap last couple of years? It only goes up $1 million this year, that maybe some of that cap space dried up. And I mean, hell, like Max Pacioretty was basically handed to the Carolina Hurricanes because they had cap space. Like, is that how valuable it is? And maybe did that have something to do with the numbers kind of drying up a little bit for Johnny?
It's funny, right? Like, I've been through free agency so many times. I mean, the longest deal I ever had in my career was 2 years. So you can think about how many did July 1st, where I was in that boat of all those players. And when you think about it and you think, oh, I'm going to go to market, there's going to be 30 teams that are calling. Well, in the salary cap era, the reality is there's only so many teams that have room, number one. Number two, there's only so many teams that might have the need that for a particular role that you fit. So when you start to narrow things down, there's just a handful at best of suitors. And so it's not like there's this huge pool and everybody's just, backing up the Brinks truck, as Kevin Weeks likes to say, to your door. And it's just a very limited pool. We talked about Philly, for instance. They had to move salary in order to make that happen. That's not easy to do. You have to find some people to play ball and shuffle some things around. There's puzzle pieces that need to fit. It just makes it so hard. So we all think that free agency means go to market. It sounds glamorous, but the reality is it doesn't work like that.
Okay, we've had a couple of stories break in the last little while. Just before we went to air, we got Josh Norris, 8 years at almost $8 million a season with the Ottawa Senators. And Jesse, am I hearing that Dylan Strome has signed with the Washington Capitals?
That's right. That's right. According to Elliot Friedman, not quite done apparently, but it sounds like Dylan Strome to Washington, 1 year, $3.5 million. Says Friedbaum, if you will.
Friedbaum here, 1 year, $3.5 million to a guy that was rumored to go a lot of different places. I'll let you weigh in on either Strome or Norris here. Dom, which one jumps out at you?
Well, the Norris deal is interesting. And, we talk about the UFA market. And, what we are seeing is that the really long-term deals, you look at what Tampa did. And if you want to, pick brains and figure out how to build success, Tampa is all in on the 3 8-year deals that they just inked at free agency. So Ottawa taking a page out of that book. I think when you think about the length of these contracts, I think you're adding value when you extend it out over time, especially when you're locking in these younger guys even before they hit their prime. So that's an approach that a lot of the GMs are taking, I think, to get value. And when it comes to the UFAs, guys that are a little bit older, it's a completely different story in terms of, getting top dollar. The teams want value. You just put up that Ottawa. They've really improved their team. A really amazing job there. Excited to see how that shakes out. Detroit's another team that comes to mind. I thought David Perron was one of the best value signings of the day. A phenomenal signing from Steve Yzerman.
That's two teams also with some cap space here, Dom. Like, it feels like the teams that are making the most moves are the ones with cap space, and you add Carolina to that mix.
Completely. It's just, like I said, there's only a handful of teams that have that space. And so you're in a power position when you do. Having said that, they're still smart about it. That's why Steve Yzerman, such sound decision-making with who he brought on. It wasn't like he made a huge splash. The guy like Perron, it's a short-term deal and it's a good value deal. Perron is still playing at an extremely high level. He makes everyone around him better. So to me, that was one of the best dollar for dollar value deals that was made, period, in the last couple of days.
All right, last hockey one before we get to Smashfest. I know we've talked about the Leafs in the past and how close the talent is there in Toronto to getting over the hump. But this gamble on Matt Murray and Ilya Samsonov seems like a pretty big roll of the dice to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not convinced it's the solution. Listen, that to me was the Achilles heel. It's been the Achilles heel, the goaltending issue. I'm not sure they brought in an improvement, and I don't think they feel sure about it. Obviously, they brought insurance. So to me, it doesn't strike me as a confident move. To me, I liked, the move that Colorado made, going for Georgiev. Here's a guy that believes he's a starter. There it is. They're hoping that one of these guys can shake out and hit. And to me, that's just not confidence. To me, you want to have something reliable. But getting back to Georgiev, this is a guy who believes he's a starter. He has not performed well the last couple of years since Shesterkin took over. But when you think about it, he's not a happy camper in that environment. He's now going to be put in a position to succeed with a team that is a complete juggernaut. I wouldn't be surprised to see them in a position to defend it. That was, I think, a very shrewd move.
All right, it feels like part of the family at this point, but the charity event of the summer is back. Smashfest around the corner next week, July 20th. How are the preparations going?
Yeah, always a ton of work leading up to it, but just completely blown away by the support of the players. We have our largest group ever of players, over 30 players, celebrities. We've got female Olympians that are joining us. And my hero, of course, Doug Gilmour, is back for yet another Smashfest. So, definitely join us Wednesday night, July 20th, the event of the summer. As you mentioned, you have been a big supporter for a lot of years with some of our studio hits, bringing in that little table, punting the ball around in the studio over the years. Hard to believe we're at 10 years of doing this. I'm blown away.
For those who don't know, you play table tennis and mingle with NHL stars, other celebrities, names in the past. I don't know, guys like Cale Makar, Victor Hedman, Steve Stamkos, Mitch Marner, Eric Lindros, Sid Seixeiro, Tim McCall, the big boys. All in support of rare cancers and concussion research, for which you've raised over $1 million. Like, I know you pour a lot of yourself into this. Why does it mean so much to you?
It's just the personal motivation. As much as we've been able to raise the awareness and raise some money for the causes, there's still so much to do. Last summer we did the event in Connecticut, and there was a Ranger fan that was there, a young man that had been stricken with a rare cancer. He's no longer with us this year. Just a few months later. It was a dream come true night for him to be at the event last year. He met some of his heroes, Chris Kreider, Adam Fox, Mike Richter, who were in attendance. But his legacy is the kind of thing that keeps us motivated to make a difference. So we're grateful to all of our support, all of our sponsors and supporters that have been helping us do this over the years. And NHLPA has been there right from the start as well.
Awesome. And over $1 million raised. It's crazy to think about that when you came into our radio studio years ago, first talking about this wonderful event. Smashfest.ca, or follow on the socials for more information on how to get in the doors and involved. Again, smashfest.ca. Dom, thanks for popping by as always, my friend.
Tim, you're the best. Thanks so much.
There is Dominic Moore, ESPN analyst, and played 15 years in the show, philanthropist, all those things. Again, makes me feel like I'm a little bit lazy, I'll be honest here, Jesse.